The new film by McDonagh occurs in the space between reality and fiction. He knows this confined space better than any other film director. Before we begin our investigation of one of the most significant humanistic films, be sure to subscribe to the channel Unique Perspective and click the bell so you be the first to know when new reviews and lists of suggested movies are posted. McDonagh discovers a gap between the real world and fantasy and tells his whole story from that limited and isolated space. In the movies In Bruges and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, he did just this. He is a well-known name in the theater, and his plays and works have been presented numerous times, and he has even been nominated for prestigious honors such as the Tony. He first encountered this kind of storytelling in his plays. Perhaps it is due to his extensive experience in theater and stage performance that he is able to pack an infinite and real universe into a little space. Like he did in the plays A Behanding in Spokane, The Pillow Man, and Hangman, and he demonstrated his power in this field in the play The Lonesome West, in which he placed 3 generations of the same family in a hut in an unknown and isolated location to tell the story of their strange life. Then he described each of the characters' stories in such a way that each of them becomes a jail for others, and that remote hut only becomes a symbol of its people's isolation.
Is it evidence you're after, so? Rot.
This time, the movie takes place on an island with land, sky, sea, farm, pasture, church, pub, rocks, boats, carts, huts, animals, police, priest, ordinary people, and war in the distance. But the filmmaker snatches all of these, despite their candor, from the actual world and transplants them into his own. We are dealing with a little community in the Banshees of Inisherin that is obsessed with repetition and quiet. A society resembling a swamp. An island so removed from reality that even the war taking place next door is nothing to them. People simply observe it from a safe distance, occasionally surprised by the sound of an explosion in the distance. They don't even feel obligated to take a stand on the events going on around them. They only notice the necessity on rare occasions. The inhabitants of this island have the comfort of being onlookers, free to spend their time in the village pub sharing beer and banter with their neighbors. It is unclear if they are now employed. Because in this seemingly genuine environment, an unreal life is taking place. Now, one of them has rebelled and wants to break free from this cycle, even if it means losing his ability in the art he loves, playing the violin, at the cost of soul and body death. If not his entire body, then at least chunks of it. Colin decides to live in a different way when he realizes that death is inevitable and that his chance won't last forever. This means rebelling against the existing order on the island. He wants to go a path that no one has ever taken on this island. Individuality's way. This is a revolutionary choice. Most notably on a deserted island where banshees lurk around every bend. And on an island whose sole symbol is the statue of Miriam, a symbol of purity and fertility. But what is a banshee? In Irish tradition, a banshee is a female spirit who heralds the death of a family member by screaming, weeping, shrieking, or keening. Sometimes the banshee takes the shape of a sweet-singing virgin from the family who died young, and has been assigned the mission by the invisible forces to become the harbinger of her mortal kindred's impending fate. Alternatively, she may be seen at night as a shrouded woman hunched behind the trees, weeping with a veiled face, or flying by in the moonlight, crying loudly. When this spirit's wail is heard in the middle of the night, it is more sad than any other sound on earth, and it foretells the death of one of the family members. Inisherin's Banshees is, like many films in cinema history, about the relationship of two men, but it is a friendship that we have entered from the end, from the moment of destruction. Colin does not want to see Porrick since he is the symbol personification of all that is wrong in this village. The boundary between Porrick and Colin is subtle and difficult to quantify. The truth is somewhere in between what they're saying. Colin thinks that our lasting impact on future generations is crucial. Because we will all die, and we must add our voices to this world. However, Porrick thinks that nothing is significant enough to sacrifice the feelings of others for. Spreading kindness and avoiding destroying friendships is essential. From treating animals and people with compassion to much more.
After these goons for their getting away from me. Maybe they don't like me no more neither.
Colin has decided to break free from the circle of idleness, from the daily life, from this life of animals, and the price of his freedom is to get rid of idleness by amputating a part of his body. She cuts off the parts of her body that she needs to play the instrument and knocks on Porrick's door. Like a religious rite involving the offering of a holy sacrifice. Imagine the human bodies, their hopes, and their individuality being sacrificed at the altar of kindness God. When Porrick finally understood that in the real world, the power of kindness is insufficient to preserve human relationships, he decides to reinvent himself. Porrick was once a symbol of kindness and all living creatures were at ease in his shelter. He helped everyone, from his pet donkey to the injured teenage boy in the village. To make the sin of individuality burn in the flames of fire, he went and set fire to his friend's home. Colin isn't concerned about his house burning down, he welcomes any kind of loss in order to avoid losing something more important, life itself. The beauty of the island, with its stunning views of the sky and sea, becomes its polar opposite. It's like being in a swamp, you either get out of it like Siobhan, Porrick's sister, did, or you rot there and forget where you came from. Siobhan gained self-awareness through reading books and Colin through music, but Porrick is unwilling to break the cycle. He doesn't even understand the words in Siobhan's letter. He can only be kind in his own unique way. When kindness to people becomes meaningless to him, he prefers to be kind to animals. He deliberately burns down a buddy's house, regardless of whether or not his friend was there at the time. But he swears he won't hurt his buddy's dog. In the film's final dialogue, Colin thanks Porrick for not killing his dog, and, of course, he does not protest to his house being burned down. Whatever the case may be, Porrick annihilated yet another aspect of Colin's attachment to this island. Another reason to break the cycle. This is not a traditional tale about the struggle between good and evil. This film depicts the everyday lives of ordinary people. Being kind may be a necessary condition for a good life, but it may not be a sufficient condition for living well.
Thanks for looking after me dog for me anyways.
Anytime.